Alyssa Thomas jumping on Caitlin Clark. What the fuck?
What happened after Alyssa Thomas received her recent suspension over the violent incident involving Caitlin Clark has sparked even more controversy. Instead of calming the situation, her reaction only intensified the debate. Rather than accepting responsibility for her actions, Thomas shifted the conversation by accusing Caitlin Clark's fan base of racism during her post-game remarks. In doing so, she redirected attention away from the incident itself and placed the blame on the people criticizing her behavior. According to that logic, if you're one of the countless fans who support Caitlin Clark, and chances are you are if you're watching this video, you've now been unfairly labeled as a racist simply because of who you cheer for. That accusation has left many basketball fans stunned, with critics arguing that Thomas chose to play the race card instead of addressing the real issue. Many believe those comments only fueled the outrage and created even more division around an already explosive situation.
Those guys, they're the racists, when really, y'all are the racists.
The reaction following Alyssa Thomas's recent suspension has quickly become one of the biggest talking points in women's basketball. Instead of calming the situation, her post-game comments added even more fuel to an already heated debate. Rather than focusing on the play itself or accepting the league's decision, she shifted the conversation toward the behavior of some Caitlin Clark supporters, suggesting that racism had played a role in the backlash. Those remarks immediately divided fans and sparked a wave of intense discussion across social media and sports media. Many people argued that bringing race into the conversation distracted from the original incident and only made the controversy even bigger. How could someone overlook Clark's remarkable impact on the game and reduce the debate to race? That question has been raised repeatedly by fans and commentators since Thomas made her remarks. Her comments have generated widespread criticism, with many believing they only deepened the divide surrounding the situation instead of helping resolve it. But what exactly did she say that caused such a strong reaction? Why has public opinion shifted so dramatically against her? And could the league eventually reconsider or respond further as the controversy continues to grow? Let's take a closer look at everything that has unfolded.
We all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist.
The post-game interview quickly became one of the most talked-about moments of the night, as many viewers felt Alyssa Thomas appeared visibly frustrated while addressing the media. Emotions seemed to be running high, and her comments immediately sparked widespread debate across social media and sports outlets. Instead of calming the controversy, the interview only intensified the discussion, leaving fans and analysts questioning what her remarks would mean for the story moving forward.
It was our defense in the third quarter. We knew we needed to come out with a good energy. We knew that they probably weren't happy with their first half, and they threw the first punch, where versus the first half, we threw the first punch.
Nothing. It was almost as though everything changed the moment a reporter finally questioned her about her performance. Instead of responding to the obvious issue, her lack of impact during the playoffs, she immediately shifted the conversation by criticizing Caitlin Clark's supporters and accusing them of racism. She didn't limit her comments to hateful messages on social media or claim that only a small number of online trolls were responsible. Instead, she made a much broader accusation, suggesting that Clark's fan base was contributing to racism that was harming the mental well-being of Black athletes.
This is a different angle of the play.
Caitlin.
Watch this. Look at that. Look at her. Put her fist and her forearm into Caitlin Clark's neck on this play right there, and then uses her fist to...
The reporter's expression made it seem as though she had been waiting for the right opportunity to introduce that point, almost anticipating the moment someone would ask about her disappointing performance, so she could steer the conversation in a completely different direction. No one followed up with additional questions, challenged her remarks, or asked her to provide any evidence to support what she was saying.
Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. There's an easy way. The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps.
They simply allowed the conversation to move on. Rather than keeping the attention on what many viewed as a disappointing performance, the discussion quickly shifted toward a completely different controversy. Almost instantly, the spotlight turned into Alyssa Thomas versus Caitlin Clark's fanbase. It was remarkable how fast the narrative changed, transforming the focus from criticism of her performance to a debate in which she was presented as the target of racist supporters.
Gives a rat's ass, seriously.
However, it's hard not to wonder whether this was a calculated effort to redirect the criticism she was facing or simply an emotional reaction in the moment. Speaking to the media, Alyssa Thomas said this was the first time in her 11-year career that she had experienced this kind of treatment. She pointed to the Indiana Fever fanbase, many of whom have passionately supported Caitlin Clark since the beginning of her remarkable rookie season. But the real question is whether she presented any evidence to support those claims. According to her remarks, she did not provide specific examples, documented incidents, or any concrete proof. Instead, she made a broad accusation that members of the Fever fanbase were negatively affecting her mental well-being without offering details or evidence to support that conclusion.
Clark is Kunta Clark. She's the actual slave that everybody else is exploiting for their benefit. Angel Reese included at the top of that list. Now Alyssa Thomas jumps in and says,
Let's talk about the timing for a moment. After her team suffered a crucial loss, many critics felt she was trying to change the direction of the conversation. She likely knew the media would ask difficult questions about her performance, including why she struggled on the biggest stage of the season and why she was unable to deliver when her team needed her most. Instead of focusing on those basketball questions, she shifted attention toward Caitlin Clark's supporters, leading many to believe she was hoping the spotlight would move away from what happened on the court. According to her critics, it was a classic attempt to redirect the narrative rather than address the performance itself.
Like, if you got a bunch of dudes in a room and says, let's fuck up the WNBA, we couldn't have came up a master plan what these women have.
But this is where the situation becomes even more controversial. By directing her criticism toward Caitlin Clark's supporters, Thomas wasn't only calling out the fan base. Many people interpreted her remarks as indirectly placing some of the responsibility on Clark herself. From that perspective, if Clark's growing popularity is being linked to all of this negativity, it creates the impression that she's being portrayed as part of the problem rather than simply the player at the center of the attention.
Talk about this thuggery, a goon attack, hoodlum activity, straight up hoodlum. I've lost my mind activity. Alyssa Thomas flat out targeted Caitlin Clark. The Phoenix Mercury targeted Caitlin Clark throughout this game, which appears to have led to some major injuries. This is nasty work.
Many critics believe it was a calculated way to damage Clark's image without directly attacking her personally. It also comes after previous on-court tension between the two players. In an earlier matchup, Alyssa Thomas delivered what many described as an extremely hard screen on Caitlin Clark, an incident that reignited debate surrounding their rivalry. It wasn't viewed by many fans as an ordinary basketball screen. Numerous viewers reacted with shock, saying it looked as though Clark could have suffered a serious injury. The officials ruled it an offensive foul on Thomas, but the play was otherwise treated as routine. Clark, known for her speed and quick movement across the floor, was caught completely off guard and crashed hard to the court. There was no extended review and no consideration of a more serious penalty.
The WNBA, because it's a woke league and because it's leaned into people directing their hatred of Caitlin Clark at Caitlin Clark.
Even several WNBA analysts, including Diane Tauré-Miller, openly criticized the way the entire situation was handled. She stated plainly that, in her opinion, Thomas should have been ejected because the play was reckless and unnecessary. But did Clark make a scene over what happened? Not at all. She quickly got back to her feet, flashed her trademark smile toward the crowd, and even gave a playful wink, letting everyone know she was fine and refusing to let the incident shake her. That simple reaction became another memorable moment for her supporters, who admired the composure she showed. While frustration over the officiating continued to grow around her, Clark remained calm, collected, and focused on the game.
And it comes as a byproduct of, Caitlin, I love you to death. But girl, if you don't work on that defense, you ain't winning no championship.
But that was also the point where Alyssa's situation started to unravel even further. After she released a public statement of her own, the reaction intensified dramatically. Many Caitlin Clark supporters expressed their frustration across social media, making it clear that they strongly disagreed with her comments and ensuring that the backlash continued to grow online.
They kicked her off the game because it's Caitlin Clark and she can't do.
She began presenting herself as the victim, insisting that the criticism she was receiving was driven entirely by race rather than by the controversial play that nearly took out one of the league's brightest young stars. Instead of taking responsibility for an action that could have seriously injured one of the WNBA's biggest talents, she shifted the focus elsewhere. That response only fueled more frustration among many supporters, who argued that race had nothing to do with their criticism and believed anyone who watched the incident could see why people were upset.
I had to go to the NBA because of players calling all kinds of nasty racial names to Caitlin Clark, white bitch being the most of. I mean, that's the players. Now they sit up there, the one idiot.
But Alyssa showed little interest in taking responsibility for what had happened. Instead, she doubled down on her accusations and continued pointing fingers, seemingly trying to shift attention away from the reason she was being criticized in the first place. For a brief moment, it appeared that the strategy might work, as Caitlin Clark's name became part of the controversy, and the discussion started revolving around claims that Clark supporters were coordinating racist attacks. However, many people viewed it as nothing more than a distraction. At the heart of the controversy was Alyssa's unwillingness to acknowledge her controversial play and disappointing performance. Rather than addressing those issues directly, she chose to lean into a different narrative that redirected attention away from the original criticism.
Caitlin Clark came in as the most impactful player that the WNBA was seeing as a rookie based off of what we saw in college, from both off and on the court, whether it was attendance, viewership, to her on the court with the scoring and assists. That's how she was when she was drafted. She exits her rookie season.
What makes the situation even more remarkable is that this approach appeared to create an even bigger controversy instead of reducing the original one. Rather than limiting the fallout from a single game, the discussion quickly expanded into a much larger public debate. Many critics felt that by shifting attention toward a different issue, she only placed herself under even greater scrutiny. As a result, the spotlight grew brighter instead of fading away. The reaction wasn't limited to fans, either. A number of sports commentators and former players, including Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Miller, publicly shared their opinions, with several describing the play as unnecessary and dangerous. Analysts across television and digital media also weighed in, examining the incident from multiple angles and debating whether stronger action should have been taken. On ESPN, the sequence was analyzed frame by frame, while Rachel Nichols argued that the screen looked far more forceful than an ordinary basketball play and questioned the intent behind it. By the following day, nearly every major sports program was discussing the incident, with commentators debating whether the officials handled it correctly and whether additional discipline should have followed. The conversation only grew louder when Angel Reese entered the discussion through social media and her own platform, defending Thomas while criticizing some of Clark's supporters. That response added another layer to an already heated controversy and ensured the debate would continue well beyond the final buzzer. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss another update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.